Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Balatro Multiplayer Patch Notes Explained. Today I'll be going over 0.2.12 as well as 0.2.13. 0.2.12 is the main content update for this batch, and 13 was just various bug fixes that I will go over when we get to them. This will be all of the changes, and as usual I'll be going through each contributor and what they have done to the mod in this patch. So let's get into it. First one I'm going over is Brawmario. He added a ready up system in the lobby, which requires both players to be ready before the game starts. This means if you join a lobby with your opponent, both players will have to ready up before the game is allowed to start. There's also various other fixes with global variables and updated localizations, as well as removed the letter E from a random file where it was there for no reason. Shout out to that one. Toneblock, or otherwise known as Senfinbrer on the multiplayer server. A lot of changes here by this wonderful contributor. They changed the multiplayer reworks to use a new rework center function instead of creating duplicate jokers. Previously, for example, with Hanging Chad, it was a new multiplayer Chad, which is an entirely separate joker. Instead, now it's using the exact same joker and just editing the code for what that joker does. It will make it easier to edit certain jokers with certain rule sets, and we will see that there has been an additional rule set added, and this was very helpful for the creation of that. There is a Bloodstone rework. This one's very interesting. Again, this only applies when you have the order enabled. The way it works is outside of PvP, so in the normal blinds, your small blind, your big blind, as well as the boss blind and ante 1, Bloodstone will continue to work as it always has. It will be a game-wide queue of hits, so it will just count up through how many times the Bloodstone Joker has decided to proc, and it will just go through the whole entire list. But during PvP, it will be a hand-based queue. What this looks like is, for example, if your very first hand, you play one with 5 hearts, and it goes hit, miss, miss, hit, miss. Then the next hand with 5 hearts will go the exact same order of, I don't remember what I said, but like hit, miss, miss, hit, miss. Whatever I said before, it's going to be the exact same thing. The only difference could come from how many hearts you play in each hand. And this will be synced between both players. So if out of your, let's say you have red seals on the 5 hearts now, then you'd have 10 chances at it, and if 5 of them hit for you, out of 10 chances, 5 will hit for your opponent. It's the exact same queue between you and your opponent, and it will be the exact same for each hand, but again, this only applies during PvP. This is to reduce scenarios where being in different spots in the Bloodstone queue will cause one player to win instead of the other, and it's to preserve the competitive integrity of that ranked rule set using the order mod. Another wonderful change by Toneblock is the Judgment rework. This is especially impactful on the gold stake where there are the rental and perishable jokers. Judgment will now, instead of pulling the next joker in the queue, which is what it previously did, it will now pull the next naturally unstickered joker from the queue. So previously, one player could use Judgment, let's say 1 reroll before the opponent, and they will get an unstickered idol while the opponent sees a perishable idol in the shop, and then game could easily be over, especially with something like Blueprint or Idol or some very strong jokers. That could cause Judgment to be a game-ending use of that tarot card. And that decision was made to prevent arbitrary decisions such as when to use a Judgment to be the game-ending decision, because that is not necessarily a skill-based decision, again, to preserve that competitive integrity of the ranked rule set. Something else, which I think is kind of funny, is that pizza is now blueprintable, but if you've read the pizza description, which has been updated, I think it's by Steph, that'll be in the next slide. At the end of PvP, the pizza is eaten, and then in the next ante, you will get 2 extra discards, and your opponent will get 1 extra one. Something funny is that you can blueprint it, but you're copying the entire effect of the joker, including getting eaten. So you can get your blueprint eaten if you copy pizza, which is hilarious. I would not recommend doing it, but it's funny to know that that has been added. The joker ban system has been reworked for certain rule sets, which will allow easier creation of rule sets. That's just nice for the people who are developing this mod. Double 6 cents will no longer work. It doesn't work in vanilla. It used to work with certain versions of S mods, especially the newer ones, and so this bug has been fixed in the multiplayer mod. Thank you to that one. These are the ones for 0.2.13. There's a bug with certain rule sets applying multiple reworks. So for example, Hanging Chad would both retrigger the first and second Joker, but still have the double hits. So it'd be like Super Mega Chad in certain rule sets like Major and Minor League Balatro, as well as Vanilla. So that has been fixed, as well as a bug where Oops 6s was invisible after viewing the Sandbox rule set, which we will get into very soon, as well as various other bug fixes. A lot of work by Toneblock / Senvin, so shout out to them. Next contributor I will go over is Steph. One thing that they did, this was a change suggested by the advisors, is the defensive Joker will now scale with stake. So from white to black stake, it will give the 125 per life you have less than your opponent, which is the way it's been working for a long time now. But this has been changed to be only 75 chips when you're at blue stake or above, so blue to gold. It was just a little too strong at those higher stakes, so it's been toned down a little bit on those higher stakes. And I believe the description of the defensive Joker has been updated to reflect that. Pizza's description has been updated to reflect its actual effect. I talked about that in the last slide, so I won't go over it again, but Steph's the one who made that change. The Lovely version will now show in the mod list, and likewise the UI for the mod list will allow more mods to be shown when viewing the mods in the lobby. Previously, if you had too many mods, it would go off screen. Now it can hold, I think, around twice as many mods without going off screen, so that's nice. There was a fix to the order mismatch message in the lobby, as well as many UI components have been refactored. It's just nicer, again, for the back-end side for those who are developing the UI of the lobbies, etc. Steph made it just better for us. And a mod list API has been added. Not sure what that entails, to be honest, but that's what it said, so I wrote it down. And here we come to Steph Sandbox. This was created as a place to test out certain additions to the game and to see if certain changes to the game or additions will be fit for the ranked rule set while still allowing the ranked rule set to exist independent of these changes. Currently, this is the list of what has changed, but in the future, additional jokers, additional consumables that are only available in multiplayer and can only work in multiplayer will be added to the sandbox to allow us to test them out before they're released into the main game, if they are at all. One thing that has been added is a Bloodstone pity system. So it's similar to the crit mechanics in other games, where the more your Bloodstone misses, the higher chance it will have to hit the next time, and the numbers have been tweaked around to make it basically the same as the 1 in 2 chance, but then you're just a lot less likely to have, for example, a streak of 10 in a row misses with the regular Bloodstone. Idol and Bloodstone have been changed to rare because they're very strong jokers. The Conjoined Joker was removed from this sandbox rule set. Glass was reverted to 2x, but is only obtainable from Spectrals. That's your Incantation, your Familiar, and your Grim. Those are the only ways to obtain Glass in this rule set, which is, very powerful for that 2x. So it's not obtainable in your standard packs. Justice is still banned in this rule set, and the chance to break the Glass has been changed to 1 in 3. Previously, it was 1 in 4, as in the regular game. Square Joker will start at 64 chips. Cloud9 will give $2 per additional 9 added to the deck past the initial 4. So if you have a fifth 9, it will give $6 instead of giving 5 as in the base game. The art for Oops All Sixes has been slightly changed, and the rare skip has been changed to a 1 in 2 chance to give the free rare, as opposed to the guaranteed chance in the regular game, and the rare skip can only appear in Ante 2 and above. Here are some changes by JeffDev. The Speedrun Joker will now send a Phantom Joker to allow your opponent to play around it if they choose to. The lobby menu now has a button to copy the code directly from the menu. You don't even have to open, you don't even have to view the code, you can just copy it. Especially useful for streamers who don't want their lobby to get sniped and have to create a new one. They can just copy it without even showing it to their viewers. It's very nice. And for this new copy code button, there is updated localizations for that. So now anyone in any language can read that in their own language, hopefully. And they fixed a bug with certain UI elements overlapping on the Balatro Multiplayer menu when you're using the controller keyboard. AC Beard has fixed the double round end bug after PvP. In certain scenarios, the round could be considered to end twice. This would cause your rentals to go off twice, your turtle bean to be retriggered twice, as well as get you the voucher rerolled twice. You get farther in the voucher queue, which is very relevant for competitive gameplay. And so that should hopefully be fixed and shouldn't happen anymore. But if it does, please report it and we'll try to fix it again. But I believe that it has been fixed. And likewise, the Sans Undertale Back in Time skip was removed. What that meant is previously if you were to discard all of your hands in any blind in multiplayer, because you basically have a pseudo Mr. Bones at all times, you could perform what's called the Sans Undertale Back in Time skip, where if you discard all of your hands while having multiple Mr. Bones in the regular game, it would send you back to the small blind, basically would overflow past Ante 39, and then it would reset you back to the small blind. And so that has been removed from multiplayer. So if you discard all of your hands in a regular blind or in PvP, then you will just lose life, which is how it should be. There is now a countdown before PvP starts. Basically, when you both players are ready up for PvP, it will go 3, 2, 1, and then the PvP starts. Just a fun little animation, and the length of that is customizable in the lobby options, as well as various other refactors and bug fixes. So good job to AC Beard. Virtualized, the main creator of the Balatro Multiplayer mod, has made some good changes. They updated the game mode descriptions. Previously, some of them were inaccurate as to what the game mode actually entailed. As well, there's a new menu for selecting game modes or rule sets, as well as new rule sets have been added. Specifically, the Major and Minor League rule sets have been added. I think the Sandbox mode has been added. There's now a traditional rule set as well as a ranked rule set. So now you can know exactly what you're going into when you pick that ranked. Traditional is the same as what's called Blitz rule set, which is what you've been playing with before this ranked rule set has been added. But there's none of the speed-related jokers, such as Conjoined and Speedrun, and also there is no timer. So that is the traditional rule set. Specific rule sets, such as your Major and Minor League and your ranked rule set, will lock you into certain options, or you can't join the lobby. For example, with ranked, you have to have the order on or it won't let you join the lobby. You have to have a fully unlocked profile. Things like that will be locked in, and you can't change certain settings, such as how long the timer is. Basically the settings are locked in if you're playing specific rule sets, such as Major, Minor League, and ranked, which is a very good change. Warning has been added if you're still on the tutorial seed. If you didn't know, if you have not completed the tutorial, the game forces you onto the tutorial seed until you've completed it. And now this will show you a warning in the game if you're still on the tutorial seed, as well as giving you a button to skip the tutorial if you're still on that tutorial seed. The in-progress version on GitHub will now have a -dev tag. That's to prevent people from downloading directly from GitHub instead of downloading from the releases, either on GitHub itself, there's a releases section, or from the updates tab on the multiplayer Discord. Please just download from the releases. Don't download directly from the GitHub itself. Usually it is in progress and has perhaps unstable changes or just differences from the regular ranked rule set. So please download directly from that. And likewise, there's now, it'll say like 0.2.13-dev to allow the opponent to know that they are playing against an opponent who is not using the correct version of the mod. Other miscellaneous changes, the Vietnamese localization has been updated by Feed the Killer. I added additional timer options because it only went up to 180, and higher timer might be useful for certain rule sets such as Minor League. And additional ranks/suits can be played with the order without crashing the game. That's might be the idle fix, which I have a video about if you haven't seen it. It crashed the game if you were playing on certain mods that added additional suits because it only expected the main 4 suits. So if you had more than that, it would freak out and not know what to do. So Adam Zverse added the ability for multiple additional suits to be played with without crashing the game. And so that's all for this update. Kind of a lot, but really awesome stuff. And be sure to subscribe for more awesome Balatro content. I've been doing a little more long-form content, so if you like that, please subscribe if you want to see more of that, as well as things like this. So thank you all. See you next time. Peace.